So now let us invite our chief guest. And before inviting the chief guest, let me introduce the chief guest, uh, Dr. S. Anna Balagan Sahab. He is IFS, Indian Forest Service official, and he's the chief executive officer for the Sikkim Organic Farming Development Agency, which has been created by the Sikkim government. And he is the chief guest. And we have chosen him rightly for this cause because this program and in the country, the Sikkim government has taken a lead and they are going to provide a direction to all of us. So even all the great leaders, the chief minister from Sikkim, and it was joined by our prime minister also. He visited the Sikkim along with Acharya Devratji, who is the pioneer person leading the organic and natural farming movement in the country. And he was with us at Himachal Pradesh when he was the governor. And he has an institution nearby at Kurukshetra where he is experimenting natural farming. And they are the prime leaders who are trying to promote natural and organic farming at the country level. But the person who has shown the path for whole of the country and the state which has shown the path for whole of the country, let us understand that how they adopted the organic farming movement and now how they are implementing this movement and what are the challenges and limitations they have in their mind, which can give us a light. And learning from there, we can further organize various experiments of organic farming in the country. So Dr. Balagan Sahab is working there. So let me briefly introduce his achievements so far. So he joined the Sikkim Organic Mission as Executive Director in August 2014, and he has played a significant role there. And after Sikkim achieved the status of becoming the first organic farming state in the country under the leadership of Dr. Anna Balagan sir, and was further they have got the certification and they have also developed a value chain throughout the state. And in order to do such things, 28 farmer producer organization FPOs have been created in the state, which has about 14,000 members. So this Sikkim mission has been named as Kalam Innovation in Governance Award has been also given, and after the Dr. Abdul Kalam, the eminent scientist, former president of India. And various activities have been started from there, and he has worked in various capacities in other departments as well, like rural development, science and technology, tourism. And as a deputy secretary in the Department of Science and Technology, he was also there. And he has made team leader to undertake climate change and glacial studies or glaciological studies. So he is also concerned about the climate change and depletion of glaciers. On such project also he has worked. So by heart, he is a great environmentalist, and by profession, he has been an agriculture science graduate. And after that, he joined Indian Forest Service. So in his long journey, he has done a lot of work in the state of Sikkim. So let us listen from him. So I would request our chief guest, the chief guest, to deliver the inaugural address, please. So welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Roy. Before I proceed, I would like to thank your institute and yourself for inviting me for this program. I believe I would be of some use to all the participants here. So from whatever transpired earlier, I could gather that most of them are students, teachers, and some of them are from research institutions as well as farmers. So rather than my address, I would like it to be more of a discussion after I brief you about what we have done. So I would like to do it in the form of a presentation. Is that fine? Or I don't want it to be a monologue, so people might get bored. I have made a presentation. so that it benefits everybody.
Yes, sir.
So
Please
if
go
it is fine, I can go ahead with that, or if you want it to be
Yeah, yeah. Let
speech
us
kind of
let us
thing.
have a presentation from you, and after that we'll have a discussion because many learned people are already there.
Okay, thank you very much. So with that background, which you have already, the earlier speakers have already told about Sikkim, that it is the first organic farming state in the country, and Dr. Patnaik said that it all started in the year 2003. And so here I would like to share. So for the benefit of the house, so I would like to share this presentation. And before I start, for others who do not know where Sikkim is, so it lies in the northeastern part of the country in the Himalayas, where you can see it as a small green patch. It's a very small state in the Himalayas. So it's about 7,000 square kilometers, very small, smaller than many of the districts in other parts of the country. So that is the position or location of Sikkim. And as I told you, it is in the line in the Himalayas, which falls under one of the diversity hotspots of the world. So it's rich in biodiversity, and therefore the government wanted to conserve natural resources, and it also wanted to link organic farming to it. So that is the reason we wanted to become organic. So it's a combination of conservation of biodiversity as well as for mainstreaming the farming sector. So that is the reason the government took a decision way back in the year 2003. As I mentioned, it's a dual purpose objective. One is for environmental conservation, at the same time address the issues of livelihood for the farmers. So it's a twin objective program. So why we went into organic farming, and what were the factors that led to the government to take such a decision? The farming in Sikkim is traditionally organic, which means that the farmers were using more or less organic inputs even before we launched the formal organic mission, which means that the farmers used inputs that were close to organic. And at that point in time, as we all know that the Green Revolution was in full force or in swing, the farmers here use very little chemical inputs. For example, the farmers here use only 1/10 of the recommended doses of fertilizers or pesticides, which means around 2000, around the year 2000, about 7 to 8 kg of chemical fertilizer was only used in the per hectare in Sikkim, so which is about 1/10 of the national average. So that was an advantage we had. And another advantage was that, as I told you, it is rich in biodiversity and falling in the biodiversity hotspot area of the world. We also wanted to conserve nature. And the soil is rich in organic matter or organic carbon, which is in fact very high when compared to other parts of the country. So the minimum is more than 1% here, whereas the national average would be less than that. So this is another advantage we had for making the shift. And another point to be considered is the rain-fed or hill agriculture, which again uses very little inputs. And another major factor that made us think was more than 1/6 of the area of the agricultural area was under cardamom, large cardamom cultivation. Traditionally, what happens in cardamom cultivation is the cardamom plantations are taken up in the jungle areas or the forest areas under the trees. So these plantations were never given chemical inputs. So having more than 1/6 of the area under non-chemical agriculture and the rest of the area having about 1/10 of chemical use again prompted the government that we should do something about it and make the shift. And how did we prepare? We prepared a roadmap for the transition to be made with clear-cut timelines or time frames of each and every activity. And all the stakeholders were involved here, be it the politicians, the bureaucrats, the farmers, the research organizations. Everybody was involved, and training and awareness programs were imparted to all the stakeholders. And as I told you earlier, we were very concerned with fertilizer use. Though the use of chemical inputs was very less, 1/10 only, we also took steps to discourage the use of chemicals even then. The way we went about was we did not avail the subsidy that was available for chemical fertilizers. As you know, chemical fertilizer is heavily subsidized. So at that point in time, about say 40% was the subsidy available way back in the early 2000, and the state government reduced the subsidy available for chemical fertilizers every year. For instance, in the year 2004, the 40% chemical subsidy was made 30%. And again in 2005 and 6, we reduced the subsidy to 20%, so on and so forth. And by the year 2008, there is no subsidy available for use of chemical fertilizers. And if a farmer had to procure or buy chemical fertilizers, he had to pay full cost for the chemical fertilizer. And that is how we discouraged the use of chemical fertilizers. And we also undertook pilot projects in an area of a little more than 8,000 hectares with respect to certification, and that was successful. And simultaneously, we created infrastructure for supporting the organic farming initiatives. So, having done all these things, we started the implementation, and we launched the Sikkim Organic Mission in the year 2010. And thereafter, we again made clear-cut timelines and made a decision that we are going to bring or certify the entire area within 5 years. And the institutional mechanisms were created with the state level apex committee, in which the Honorable Chief Minister himself is the chairperson. So that is the kind of importance given to this program. And we also created the steering committee at the state level, headed by the chief secretary. And then we created the Sikkim Organic Mission, so which is now renamed as Sikkim Organic Farming Development Agency. And how did we go about? We created the institutional framework, and thereafter we created livelihood schools to train people for involving them in the certification program. So nearly 1,000 people were trained in the year 2010, and then they were absorbed by service provider agencies for undertaking ICS management. For those who are new to this concept of certification, that is third-party certification, it involves two processes. One is the ICS management, which the farmer is supposed to do, which means, or which is all about the activities undertaken in a farm from sowing to harvest. So all those activities, all those production program is captured in a particular document called Farm Diary, and that is audited by the certification agencies, and the certificates are issued. So we used about 14 service providers for ICS management and 6 certifying bodies for certification. And what kind of certification we followed? It was third-party certification. You know, most of you must be aware of the certification systems available in the country. One is the PGS system. The other is the third-party certification. Third party is basically for export purpose. It was present at that point in time, basically for export purposes. And since Sikkim was the early bird, We started with third-party certification, and the PGS system came thereafter. It came much later. So we stuck to the third-party certification, and we followed the group certification, which means a group of farmers. We call it grower group, and this group is certified. Because all the expenses that is incurred for certification is borne by the state government. We, in order to reduce the expenses, we went ahead with group certification. Of course, individual certification is also available for third party under third party certification. So this is the brief timeline of the entire organic initiatives and activities. We started in the year 2003 as a resolution in the State Legislative Assembly. And we did the preparatory works for about 6-7 years until 2010, when the Sikkim Organic Mission was launched. And by 2015, we completed the certification program. And in 2016, Honorable Prime Minister was here in Sikkim when it was announced that Sikkim is the first completely or fully organic farming state. And at that point in time, we had about a little more than 76,000 hectares certified. So why certification is required? So it is basically a proof for somebody undertaking certification or somebody following organic farming practices. It is basically a certificate that shows that a particular cropping system, cropping production system has been done as per the national standards or guidelines. This is the proof, and this is the document that is useful for doing business or trade. So how does it benefit any farmer? Is that it combines income generation with environmental conservation. So here I've just captured a little, a slight difference between what is certified and what is non-certified. Organic farming, as we all know, on the right side of the slide is the details about organic farming. So we all know the environmental advantages we have with organic farming, and certified organic farming is just one addition to all the advantages we have under organic farming system. It is basically oriented towards business or trade. So for the purpose of doing business, we require certificate, and over and above all the farming system, we obtain the certificate for business. Then we reassessed ourselves, the Sikkim Organic Farming Initiative. We assessed ourselves. We were the completely farming state. That was one of the achievements. Now, when we try to reposition ourselves and when we assessed ourselves, we were lacking in a few activities such as processing and marketing. So when we invited buyers or traders to source materials from us, they said we wanted processed commodities. So that is when we learned that, we need to go ahead with something else also simultaneously. Then we started creating infrastructure for processing, and that is how we ended up promoting farmers producers organizations, and under them we are trying to create facilities so that they do business on their own. So the stage 2, processing and marketing, are under process. We are more or less through with creation of functional infrastructure, and we are through with the marketing, the branding, and we have created a brand identity called Sikkim Organic, which is here at the bottom. This is our logo, brand identity for our organic commodities. If anybody sells our commodity, they will have to use this logo. And how we are going to plan our activities in future, we are going about with value chain development. Basically, this is to link the producers with the consumers directly. So that is the reason we are creating processing facilities within the state, so that everything gets processed, and we market them as Sikkim's organic commodities. So this is in simple about our future plans, and we have narrowed down on only a few crops. So we can produce almost every crop, from cereals to pulses, oil seeds, spices, fruits, vegetables. We can produce, but being a very small state, we cannot produce everything in huge quantities. So we narrowed down on only a few crops like buckwheat, large cardamom, ginger, and turmeric, which has certain advantages for us, which are produced only within Sikkim. For instance, large cardamom or black cardamom is grown only in the Himalayan region, so which is not found elsewhere. Similarly, buckwheat, it is also found only in certain parts of the country. So these are all more or less endemic to Sikkim, and that is why we wanted to utilize this advantage and produce them in surplus for the market. This is our idea of creating our own channel, and in case of organic, every activity has to be certified organic, be it production, be it processing or marketing, labeling and marketing. So if there is a small pilferage in any of this channel, then it cannot be traded or marketed as an organic commodity. So it has to go into that channel or the tube, and then only it can be sold or marketed as organic. So we are trying to produce it in an organic way. We are planning. We have created facilities now to process them in an organic manner, and then market them as organic. So this is our own channel, which we have more or less finished. And the impacts of organic farming, we know the environmental impacts, we know the intangible advantages that organic farming has. And apart from that, we were able to provide employment to the people, direct and indirect employment. Directly, they were involved in certification process, and then tourism increased to a great extent, even up to 40% before 2018-19. And then the inflow of foreign visitors doubled, and we were the recipients of one world award instituted by the International Federation for Organic Agriculture Movements, which is the organization at the international level for regarding organic farming. And then we were the recipients of the Future Policy Award by FAO. And thank you, all of you, for patiently listening to the presentation. It is more of a mix of policy matters as well as a little of technical issues. I did not delve into the technical or the package of practices because it varies with region to region, and every region has to come up with its own package of practice. So that is why, and it is the job of the researchers to come up with such package of practices. So I've not concentrated on that. The rest I've covered. And I thank you for this opportunity given to us to showcase the Sikkim's efforts. And if you have any clarifications or questions, we can take it up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So thank you very much for presenting the Sikkim model, which is the leading model and the only model as far as the state is concerned, and how the certification was done, how the various strategies were drawn, and how the various institutional bodies are created, because sustainability of such program depends on the institutional sustainability. So very well you have made various institutions to undertake these activities, and I hope that in future all the processing and marketing is being done very well, and it is also leading to it is improving the tourism and other economic activities for the state. Some of the participants may have some questions that how they feel that how this this particular experiment can be extended in other states.
सत श्री अकाल। हाँ, ये जो इनका प्रश्न है, क्योंकि अभी 5 दिन का प्रोग्राम है, तो हम, क्योंकि अभी तो बहुत समय लगेगा, चीफ गेस्ट हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, तो हम इनको कहाँ से क्या करवा सकते हैं, किस मोड में, टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, प्रैक्टिस ऑफ प्रैक्टिस का है, कौन कौन से इंस्टीट्यूशन जो हैं वो ट्रेनिंग भी इम्पार्ट कर रहे हैं, इनके नियर बाय स्टेट जो है जैसे हिमाचल प्रदेश है, वहां पे पालमपुर में एक एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटी है, उनका स्कूल ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग का है, तो वहां पे पूरा बताते हैं पंचगव्य कैसे बनाना, ये जीवामृत कैसे बनाना, और कहाँ कब कब ट्रेनिंग होती है उसके बारे में जब रॉय साहब हमें कोई 5 मिनट देंगे तो हम पूरा डिटेल में बताने की कोशिश करेंगे। और अभी हम जो हमारे चीफ गेस्ट थे बालागन साहब, उनसे हमारा एक ब्रीफ सा प्रश्न था, क्योंकि उन्होंने उधर बहुत अच्छा काम किया, पहली स्टेट है जो ऑर्गेनिक की बनी है, तो हमारा एक क्वेश्चन ये रहेगा, क्लैरिफिकेशन रहेगी रादर, कि वहां पर डॉक्टर साहब आपने जब ये शुरू किया, लगभग मेरे को लगता 20 साल के करीब होने जा रहे हैं, तो पहले तो वो ट्रेडिशनल आर यू कंफर्टेबल विद हिंदी और आई शुड स्पीक? ओके, सो बिकॉज किसान भी बैठे हैं तो वो सारा समझ पाएंगे कि जब आपने ट्रेडिशनल से धीरे धीरे उन लोगों को ऑर्गेनिक में लाए, क्योंकि एकदम तो ला नहीं सकते, तो क्या आपकी जो ईल्ड थी, क्रॉप की ईल्ड है, जैसे आप जिंजर बताए, कार्डामोन बताए, बड़ी इलायची, छोटी इलायची, क्योंकि आपने जो वहां की बहुत पोटेंशियल क्रॉप्स थी उनको ही सिलेक्ट करना चाहिए, वो आपका बहुत, मैं उससे सहमत हूं कि आपका वो आइडिया बहुत परफेक्ट है, लेकिन क्या उनकी ईल्ड में जब आपने प्योर ऑर्गेनिक कर दिया तो फर्क पड़ा? एक दूसरा, जब फर्क पड़ता है तो नेचुरली ऑर्गेनिक का रेट तो ज्यादा रहता है, जो हमारे कहीं से डाटा है, मान लो लेग्यूम क्रॉप है, तो अभी जो जर्नल में है कि जी 20% लेग्यूम कम हो जाती है, नॉन लेग्यूम 40% तक भी कम हो जाता, पर ये सब डाटा वेरी करता है एरिया टू एरिया। जैसे अभी हमारे किसान भाई कह रहे थे कि जी वो ऑर्गेनिक कार्बन कहाँ है, नहीं, अभी पंजाब में कुछ क्षेत्र में ऑर्गेनिक कार्बन बहुत अच्छा है, कहीं कहीं कम भी हो सकता, तो एक्सेप्शन तो पूरा जगह में रहता है, वो उस बात को हम, अब ओसी को कैसे बढ़ाना है वो भी उसके तरीके हैं कि भाई क्रॉप रेजिड्यू को पूरा जमीन में मिलाओ, ऐसा नहीं है कि धरती मां से सब निकालते ही जाओ, कुछ उसमें डालना भी चाहिए, और एंशियंट जो एग्रीकल्चर था उसमें यही था। तो डॉक्टर साहब आपका बहुत कीमती समय है, टाइम शॉर्ट होगा, तो आप अगर इस बारे कुछ मेरे को बता सके तो धन्यवाद।
बिल्कुल, आपका सवाल भी बहुत रिलेवेंट था, क्योंकि सभी फार्मर्स यहाँ जो किसान लोग हैं, सो उनका भी वही क्वेश्चन रहेगा कि यील्ड का जो रिडक्शन की बात है। मैंने वही बोला था, बताया था कि जब हमने शुरू किया, हमारा यील्ड स्टैटिस्टिक्स को भी देखना था, मैंने उसके बारे में डिस्कस नहीं किया। मैंने ये बताया था कि हम लोग ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग सिस्टम फार्म करते थे और लो इनपुट एग्रीकल्चर, उस समय भी हम ऑर्गेनिक इनपुट ही ज्यादा यूज करते थे। सो उस वक्त का जो यील्ड स्टैटिस्टिक्स है वो नेशनल एवरेज, सिक्किम का जो भी यील्ड था वो नेशनल एवरेज से कम ही था। मतलब मान लीजिए राइस अगर पैडी का प्रोडक्टिविटी को लें, जब नेशनल एवरेज 5 टन पर हेक्टेयर था, सिक्किम का प्रोडक्टिविटी वाज लेसर, लेट अस से 3.5 टन, उतना ही था। सो बाय यूजिंग ऑर्गेनिक इनपुट्स, मोर और लेस ऑर्गेनिक इनपुट्स, सो जब हमने शिफ्ट किया या ट्रांजिशन हुआ, वो यील्ड रिडक्शन नहीं था, क्योंकि हम लोग सिर्फ 10% केमिकल यूज करते थे और withdrawing that 10% result in significant yield losses. So जो हमारा प्रोडक्शन स्टैटिस्टिक्स है पहले का और ऑर्गेनिक के बाद, उसमें यील्ड रिडक्शन नहीं दिखा था। So in our case yield reduction was not observed. So that is your response to your first question. अगर किसी और स्टेट ले लें तो देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ यील्ड रिडक्शन, पॉसिबल है, मैं तो मना नहीं करता हूँ, बिकॉज वी आर विथड्रॉइंग अ ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट्स और इनपुट्स, केमिकल इनपुट्स, एंड मेकिंग द शिफ्ट। सो पॉसिबिलिटी है यील्ड रिडक्शन में इन अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ द एरिया वेयर हेवी केमिकल इनपुट्स आर यूज्ड। और हमारे पंजाब के फार्मर ने ये पूछा था कि कैसे करना है, कितना टाइम लगेगा। उसके लिए अगर आप पैकेज ऑफ प्रैक्टिस के बारे में बात करें तो आपके नज़दीक वाला जो इंस्टीट्यूट है वो NCOF है, नेशनल सेंटर फॉर ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग, गाजियाबाद में है। उधर संपर्क कर सकते हैं और उधर से आप पैकेज ऑफ प्रैक्टिसेस या जो भी यूज करने का मेथडोलॉजीज है वो सब सीख सकते हैं। और दिस इज फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ एवरीबडी, नॉट ओनली आवर फार्मर फ्रेंड फ्रॉम पंजाब, सबके लिए है कि कैसे ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग शुरू करें। तो इसको आप एक रिवर्स थिंकिंग करना चाहिए। जैसे किसके लिए मैं कर रहा हूँ, मान लीजिए कि मैं अपने फार्म या अपने एरिया को नेचुरल या सस्टेनेबल रखना चाहता हूँ, जो हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव क्लियर होना चाहिए, किस पर्पस के लिए हम ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग कर रहे हैं। अगर हम सस्टेनेबिलिटी और एनवायरमेंटल कंजर्वेशन की बात करें तो सर्टिफिकेशन का जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि हम मार्केट करने वाले नहीं है। अगर हमें बिजनेस मोड में करना है तो सर्टिफिकेशन का जरूरत पड़ेगा। अगर वो नहीं है, हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव बिजनेस नहीं करना है, सिर्फ सॉइल फर्टिलिटी को इम्प्रूव करना है या सस्टेनेबिलिटी की ओर से देखें, तो देन just farming organic, just doing organic farming practices will be sufficient. But when we have to do it as a trade or a business, then certification comes in. So certification के लिए हमें एजेंसीज आइडेंटिफाई करना पड़ेगा जो सर्टिफाई करें हमारा लैंड को। अगर हम मार्केट में, डोमेस्टिक मार्केट में इसको बेचना चाहते हैं तो PGS सिस्टम ऑफ सर्टिफिकेशन इज सफिशिएंट, वो कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव है। अगर हम एक्सपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं तो थर्ड पार्टी सर्टिफिकेशन करना पड़ेगा। उसके लिए एक्रेडिटेड एजेंसीज हैं, उनको संपर्क करने से सर्टिफिकेशन ये गाइड भी करते हैं और सर्टिफिकेशन मिल जाएगा। उस सर्टिफिकेशन को यूज करके हम जो भी कमोडिटीज प्रोड्यूस करते हैं उसको मार्केट कर सकते हैं एज ऑर्गेनिक। विदाउट सर्टिफिकेशन नो कमोडिटी कैन बी सोल्ड एज ऑर्गेनिक। तो ये याद करना पड़ेगा। अगर वो ऑर्गेनिक लेबल, 100% ऑर्गेनिक लेबल लगाने के लिए सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं है तो हम लगा नहीं सकते। तो ये एकदम एक इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट है, नोट करना है। तो उस हिसाब से आपको प्रोसीड करना पड़ेगा। सो ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है आपका, उस हिसाब से आपको चलना पड़ेगा।
In between, there is a question from Mr. Rishi Joshi from Himachal Pradesh. Yes, please go ahead. Rishi Joshi ji.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, please.
Sir, nearby to my home, there is a one farmer who is doing organic farming for papaya.
Okay.
But the problem he is facing, sir, he is not getting any buyer for that.
Right.
So what is the solution, sir?
Solution is very nearby. Come to our weekly market at Chandigarh. We started 2015 on Saturday. You can join us any evening and bring us after getting a talk with us.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Any other person? Yes, any person from lovely Professional University Center of Agriculture?
So I wanted to ask the question. Dr. Deepti from Lovely Professional University.
Yes,
so,
please.
As I was working as a SRF in the project of a national project on organic farming, NPO, we were having some of the projects nearby the regional center in Uttarakhand where the farmers were working with organic. But the problem which was faced by the farmer was that certification is not an easy ask for the normal, like small scale farmers. And the criteria is very strict, like even the irrigation water should not have any chemicals. The land should be more than 3 years, it should be in the organic. So how the farmers, they can overcome such problem because they are not aware of those things. When they go for certification, they don't get it easily.
Right. So sir has been already told, then once again he will explain.
Okay. See, this is a relevant issue or a pertinent issue faced by farmers in most of the cases. उनको ये difficulty है इसीलिए हमने सिक्किम का जो सक्सेस है वो इसीलिए है कि हमने एंटायर एरिया को कवर किया। मान लीजिए कि कोई कोई एरिया में इंडिविजुअल फार्मर करना चाहता है ऑर्गेनिक और उसके बगल वाला फार्मर कन्वेंशनल करता है, सो दैट बिकम्स रियली डिफिकल्ट। वो देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ क्रेडिबिलिटी क्रीप्स इन दैट केस। हमारा जो फार्मर जो कीन है, इंटरेस्टेड है, वो करना चाहता है, कर भी सकता है, लेकिन जो बायर है वो क्रेडिबिलिटी इश्यूज के कारण उसको अप्रोच भी नहीं करता है इन मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स, क्योंकि उधर से सीपेज हो सकता है। जैसे मैडम ने बताया कि पानी भी क्लियर होना चाहिए। पानी यूजुअली इट इज दैट इज वन कंटामिनेंट, सो दैट इज एन इश्यू। सो इसीलिए अगर आप एक क्लस्टर लेवल में या विलेज लेवल में करें तो अच्छा रहेगा। अगर इंडिविजुअल फार्मर करना चाहते हैं तो कर सकते हैं, उसमें डिफिकल्टी नहीं है। ऐसे इश्यूज आते हैं बट वो तो रिसॉल्व कर सकते हैं एक्चुअली। वो इट इज नॉट अ बिग इश्यू, इट इज ओनली अ मैटर ऑफ हाउ यू गो अबाउट। वो सर्टिफिकेशन का जो रिक्वायरमेंट है वो सिर्फ फुलफिल करना पड़ेगा आपको, उससे आपको मिल जाता है। तो द एजेंसीज दैट डू सर्टिफिकेशन दे गाइड यू आल्सो हाउ टू गो अबाउट। अगर बगल में कन्वेंशनल फार्म्स हैं उसको कैसे कंसिडर किया जाता है, जैसे इन दिस केस इफ देयर इज अ कन्वेंशनल फार्म नियर बाय, उसका बफर एरिया भी क्रिएट करना पड़ता है। सो ऐसे उसके सॉल्यूशंस हैं। So it is not an airtight compartment that there is no solutions to it. So it depends on what exactly is the issue at that place. Then it can be resolved. There are certain exemptions given in the guideline, national guidelines also. So based on that, it is possible. But one needs to venture into it, then address the issues that he's facing. And every issue is unique to every place. So what can be a problem in your place is not a problem in my place. So I will not be able to tell the solutions available for everybody at one point.